Pranapana Shishwana Hari Hari Har Hari Har Hari Har Hari Pranapana Shishwana Hari Hari Har Hari Har Hari Hari Pranapana Shishwana Hari Hari Har Hari Hari Pranapana Shishwana Hari Hari Har Hari Har Hari Hari Pranapana Shishwana Hari Hari Har Hari 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 Pranapana Shishwana Hari 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 Pranapana Shishwana Hari 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 Pranapana Pranapana Shishmana Hari 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 That was 11 minutes. And if you weren't able to get the words, there, I showed you the top of my head. Prana, apana, shushmana, hari. Hari Har, Hari Har, Hari Har, Hari. And it's one of the meditations that I did for a long time. This was 11 minutes. I did the meditation for 31 minutes a day for several months. And the title about it that was given was to be able to digest atomic energy. And this is a meditation that I was given in a public class by Yogi Bhajan. And I have done everything I could over the years with this meditation to initiate myself into this meditation. The cycle of breathing shifts and changes because you're inhaling completely and deeply as you can, and then chanting all of your breath out. So in the tape, what I'm showing you is as much as I could, the full expiration of my breath with the sound. And if you've ever had the wind knocked out of you, you know that expelling all your breath out can be a very uncomfortable situation. And there have been circumstances and situations in my life when, before I ever started chanting and doing meditation, where the breath was knocked out of me, and it's very, very uncomfortable. So what's the uncomfortableness of losing your breath? No more breath. It's your last breath. Where's it going? Where did it go? And are you going to get it back? Look at the cycle in our thought around that. So on some level, in some ways, people have experienced having that breath knocked out and grasping for their breath. A person on their deathbed, or a person that's suffering from different lung diseases or breathing. Breath is pretty important. Breath is something that the yogis and the meditators and the sages and the mystics have been working with for thousands of years. And as soon as you give up your breath, that's it. Whatever that is, beyond that point, seems to have created a psychological impression upon myself, and I could maybe imagine others, that you could be on guard all the time, watching your breath, trying to forget about the last breath that's going to come up. But try to understand that there's a psychological thing that goes on here, an emotional thing that goes on here, a very deep feeling thing that goes on here time after time in our life. You inhale and you exhale thousands of times in a day. Your heart beats, your body moves, you go through these things, but we spend very little time really facing the inevitable. But it's happening all the time. So prana is talked about like it's the life force. It's what gives you the force of the energy. And then at the end of that prana, you're going into your exhale breath, which is the apana, the eliminative breath. You're letting go of your breath. And the breath in and the breath out are related and connected. And when you create a pressure and a rhythm between the two breaths, the in breath and the out breath, something very interesting and something very dramatic happens within the construct of my physical body. And that is, it brings about a deeper and deeper and deeper relaxation. Now, the relaxation at first may not be deeper, but it's happening. And so you go into a repetitive cycle of repeating the chanting and the breath movement in a very controlled environment, and you set a time aside and you sit down and you practice one way of looking at it. And another way, you're also sitting there and you're creating an experience. And as the external distractions become less and less, you can focus more and more on the internal experience that you're creating. My experience is that with the breathing and with the mantra over the years, in the early years, it was just a flood of thoughts it released. And these were thoughts that I thought I had pushed away or buried or put into another compartment altogether. And so the breathing rhythm and holding yourself still and holding yourself in this position, creates and I probably oughtn't be using all of these kind of words because I'm no scientist except a scientist of my own exploration and schooled and educated within my own body. The books that I've read, the studies that I have taken, those are other people's experiences to me. And they're sharing those experiences, just like I'm sharing my experience with you. It's not an end all. It's not even the beginning of the end all. It's just something that I do and I practice and I sit with myself and I give myself an opportunity to be still. And the sound, the mantra creates first of all, you have to learn the words. And second of all, you have to remember the words. And then you have to remember the cycles of the repetitiveness. And even probably in this video, some of the times, I'm not sure whether I've done it one time or three times, but three times was the objective. And why you lose track or why you lose your breath has a lot to do with the subconscious thoughts that you're holding in your physical body. So the chanting, the breathing, the repetitions, and that bring up these thoughts in the subconscious mind, and they get mixed in. Now, it's not like when that thought comes up about, oh my gosh, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? You don't just jump right up and run off and cook your dinner. But the thought's there. The impulse potential is there, and you're holding yourself still in your space. You've made a commitment to be here, and you're sitting here, and you're doing that, and all of these thoughts are coming out from your body. And with that, oftentimes you can have emotions or feelings that are like, what the heck am I doing? Why aren't I finding my peace? Why aren't I finding my calm? It takes time. It takes a commitment. If you put it into the perspective that you're living a 24-hour-a-day life, how much time are you actually sitting and being still and not being distracted by the television, the stereo, the computer, other people in your house or other people around in your life? How much time are you dedicating to just being with yourself? Oh, I spend lots of time with myself, they say. I went out walking in the forest. I went walk here and there. Well, did you sit down and did you calm yourself and did you become one with everything that is around you and within you? Yeah. Thank you. Excuse me. That it takes time to develop that. And there's no better time than now to sit down and develop a practice where you can experience yourself. It's a dedication, it's a devotion, it's a discipline. It's fun. I find fun in the repetitiveness of the sound. And so my question was lingering, why am I repeating the same sound over and over and over again? Well, the idea that I've taken from the masters and the teachers and others is that this sound, rhythm, vibration creates a pressure within your own body, and I can feel that. I can feel it in my lungs, feel it in my chest, my heart, feel it in my head. I can hear it in my ears. I can feel it in my throat. Your body is very, very, very engaged. And within that repetitive cycle, what I find is that at a point, you begin to surrender, let go of trying to control all of those thoughts that are coming up. And the idea of letting go of that control, especially when it comes to these unprocessed thoughts about your life, the repetitiveness of the memory. You're calling it a memory, and I'm looking at it from a memory too. Oh, I started thinking about my father, my mother, my wife, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my work, my job, all of these things. I've already moved through those, and I'm sitting right here, and all of a sudden they're starting to come up. That's a function of the subconscious. I think it's a function of the subconscious capacity that we have to hold on to all these memories in our physical body. Otherwise, where would they be coming from? They're not reaching out here somewhere, pulling them from space, but it could feel like that, can look like that, and maybe that's your experience. My experience is that if I take the time to sit down and do what I just shared with you, my physical body changes. It changes because the thoughts that have come up, I'm no longer holding on to. And I no longer have to think about letting go of them. Both of those actions are about control. To me, what it feels like in my physical body is that with the breath and the sound and the mudra and the position, the hand or arm position, it's creating a pressure on the physical body, which is really material over our nervous system. There's something happening on a very deep level within our nervous system. And the other thing that happens with this that I experienced today, because I haven't been chanting as much either, is that it works on the glandular system. And I can feel it in my throat. I can feel something relaxing or something releasing or something going on. I don't have equipment hooked up to me to reflect back to you that what I'm saying is actually what I'm experiencing. And maybe I don't have the words exactly to mirror what I was experiencing doing that. And you won't either, and it's okay. But after 30 or 40 days or 120 days or 1,000 days, however long you're going to make a commitment to sit in that repetitive cycle of energy, you will become more and more knowledgeable and more aware of what's going on, because you're creating an experience that is bringing you knowledge of yourself, knowledge of your physical body. What I discovered 3 or 4 years ago when I finally made it back into the VA, and I sat down with one of the psychiatrists, and I told my story, my military story, and my subsequent stories of actions and behaviors and emotions and this thing and that thing, the first thing that they wanted to do, which I was very prepared for, was to offer me medication for managing these incredible fluctuations in my feelings and in my emotions, in my hyper state and my very depressed state. How they manage that, and they provide incredible service for a lot of men and women. And I'm not criticizing or judging or making any other kind of a statement about where you're at in your life. I'm just sharing me. I experimented with very, very, very small dosages of the medications. And the first thing I found out from my body, from myself, is I felt out of control. So I'm still trying to hold on to control, right? But the medication seemed to move me into an area or a place where I was giving up control to the medication to manage my fluctuations. And I probably should have taken them a long time ago, long time before I started doing yoga and meditating. But when I started doing Kundalini yoga and meditating, there became more of a rhythm that I could manage, or more of a rhythm that I could understand, or the highs weren't as high and the lows weren't as low. And I was able to work a little bit and function a little bit. I got myself, after I worked on myself for 2 years, very diligently, very intensively, kind of like how I'm living my life now. I was by myself, I was single, and I was spending a lot of time meditating and chanting and doing what I just shared. But our world doesn't quite support the extremes, if you will. So we medicate those extremes so that we can get ourselves functional enough to work and functional enough to interact in the world and become a part of society again, and be a breadwinner and be a spouse or be a parent or be this or be that. And many, many, many of those things I was not good at. I was unable to do. And I had quite a feeling that being on medication, it wasn't where I wanted to go. And so I found the yoga and I found the meditation that worked quite well when I was using it and working with it. And in the aging process and some injuries and that occurred over the last 10 years or so, I haven't been able to do the physical yoga, but I've kept up with the chanting and the meditating. Now, we're going to understand through practice what the benefit is to ourselves. If you have a very, very, very strong intellectual kind of capacity, you can read and you can study and you can go through all of the books and you can go through all of what this person did and that person did, and you can set a course to duplicate that, to attempt to duplicate that. Or you can say, okay, I'm going to initiate myself in this. I don't know exactly, and I didn't, when I started, know what I was doing. I just knew it worked. And I knew it was being shared. I knew it was being talked about. I knew it was part of the lifestyle that I was in. But it worked for me. And all in all, I would say at 74 years, I am doing pretty good. And I think that it is something more that we will share and we will talk about in the future. I'm feeling a little bit long winded, seeing as I just recorded another session before this one. I think I'll take a little break and hopefully you'll find that inspiration inside of yourself to up your game, up your, if you're already doing yoga and meditating and chanting and doing all of that, hey, there's no better time than right now to increase your effort. And you will know the benefit of that. You will experience that again. If you've done practice before, but you haven't done it for a while, it's a good time to get back in it again. It will change your physical health. It will change your mental health. You just have to do the practice. And so I'm reminding those who know to get back on the horse and get into it. If your practice is strong, make it stronger. And we can all benefit from that. And that I feel, that I know to be a truth, that the work that one does on themselves benefits the world around them. So now, have a good one.